Alrighty, everybody. What is up, you guys? Welcome back here to another live. It's good to see you guys here back again for another stream, my friends. We did a pretty late live stream last night, where we were doing a little bit at the beginning of coverage, and we are going to do a little bit of coverage here. But I think we're going to do a lot of our main coverage here later on tonight. Probably for the evening, kind of the end of the storm here. Anyways, I hope you guys are doing well. Hope everyone is good. What's up, Scott? Saying hi, Andrew, and everyone else. I don't know if I already said that or not. I just saw your comment a minute ago, but I was going to get to it. I don't even remember if I said it already, but I hope you're doing good, Scott. Good to have you here, man. But yeah, storm's definitely picking up quite a bit. Let's hop over here to the current conditions. Here, let's actually hop up to, or bring up our current observations. Here's our TMA analysis here. Kind of showing us what everything is looking like as of right now. So if we bring up our radar, and you can definitely see at the moment, we do have a pretty good amount of snowfall that is ongoing here. And which, as of right now, we have kind of two pockets of snow. We got some heavy snow over here, in the eastern side of North Carolina, areas like Greenville, really seeing some heavy snow, Jacksonville, Beaufort, some of those areas are definitely getting pretty snowed in right now. Definitely coming down pretty good. Then, of course, we do have areas like in the western side of North Carolina, like Morganton, was it Wilkesboro, maybe? I think that might be how you say it. Wilkesboro, including areas like Rutherfordton, as well as Mocksville, Greensboro, Durham, just outside of Raleigh, it looks like we're getting a little bit of snowfall out here. We do have a little bit of a dry air slot right through the middle of North Carolina, kind of like as we, the models were kind of expecting here. We're definitely seeing a bit of air, a bit of dry air kind of getting in between, the two moisture masses we were talking about here. Obviously, we have the heavy snow to the east, like we mentioned, some over here to the west. And, at this point in time, we actually do have a pretty good amount of snow falling across South Carolina, too. I mean, areas out there like Columbia, is in some snowfall. Greenwood, Greenville, Pickens, Rock Hill, Bennettsville, Camden, Florence. Looks like it's snowing out there by you guys. And even out there by Georgia. Now, there could be some snow showers by Georgia. It does look like the radar has maybe a little bit of light flurries or light snow going on out here. So that is a possibility. Now, it does show a few snow showers also down here in central Florida as well. We definitely do have a little bit of snow shower activity going on, central panhandle of Florida, not central Florida, which, I mean, there is going to be potential for maybe some snow showers late tonight towards the Tampa Bay, but we'll have to see, some Gulf effect snow being a potential possibility. I'm not really sold on the idea, to be honest with you, but I think it is a possibility. Anyway, so that is the current radar here. Taking a look at the current wind speeds, they have definitely picked up quite a bit. I tell you what, here in Florida, they're starting to really pick up a little bit here. We are definitely seeing some strong winds. Out there by the central eastern Gulf, current RTMA analysis shows that we have a good, 40 mile per hour wind gusts here, some higher spots being possible. Florida is definitely starting to get kind of introduced into some of the strong winds and stuff like that out here too. And over here by the coast of North Carolina, according to RTMA analysis, it looks like our winds are gusting probably about 40, maybe near 50 in some spots as of right now, but those are only going to increase as the storm does get a bit stronger. Now, hopping on over here to the current radar. This is up in eastern North Carolina. You can see we actually do have some reports out by like Newport area. Looks like we have a good 3, 4, maybe 5 inches in some areas. Out there by like Emerald Isle, we do have a 5-inch report over in that area. Out by Pine Knoll Shores, about 4 inches has been reported. So definitely seeing quite a few little reports of snowfall coming in. You can really see these heavier bands, in this kind of pink and, the light pink areas here, really showing some, heavy snowfall coming down at this point. What's up, Kate? Good to see you. Saying hi, Andrew, watching from Connecticut. Good to see you, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, Connecticut's going to get some winds out of this, but not a whole lot of snow. Actually hopping over here right now to, once again, current conditions. Connecticut seems pretty light in terms of winds. I mean, a little bit of wind gusts, upwards of 10 miles an hour or so going on right now. But later on, it's going to be, it's definitely going to change up a little bit here. So actually, we're gonna hop over to the wind gusts here. This is we're gonna pull up these models. This is the HRRR. This is the latest high resolution rapid refresh run. In which, as you can see, I mean, we definitely do have a pretty strong amount of winds. First of all, down here in Florida, Central Florida could be seeing a good 40-mile-per-hour wind gust or so. Definitely a little bit windy out here. Up the Georgia coast, good 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts as well. Inland towards Alabama and Georgia, good 35 to 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts possible. But yeah, once you really get towards the mid-Atlantic here, that's when these winds really start to kind of pick up. You can actually see over here in eastern North Carolina, we're actually expecting, some of these wind gusts to be possibly 50, 60 mile per hour winds out there. Definitely some pretty strong stuff according to according to the HRRR. It's not just this model either that's suggesting this. There's a lot of models involved here too. But yeah, definitely seeing quite a bit of strong winds going on out here. Yeah, central and eastern North Carolina here, good 40, maybe the 50-mile-per-hour winds out there, and of course we have Virginia too. Good 40 mile-an-hour wind gusts or so. Anyways, but going up the coast, for the most part, we're mostly for a lot of the coastal areas going to be some gusts upwards of 40 miles an hour. But then we go out towards like Nantucket. And, far eastern Massachusetts, by like Provincetown, we actually could be seeing maybe 50, and maybe towards Nantucket, maybe even closer to 60 mile per hour wind gusts there. Kind of similar to what's going on like the eastern banks of North Carolina. There's a really good shot that we could have some pretty darn strong winds out here, overall. So definitely looks pretty good. And of course, offshore here, we do have good 90 to 100 mile an hour wind gusts potentially. It's not this model only that's been supporting that. We have the European ECMWF, which has also been kind of supporting a lot of the the strong winds out there as well. So for my boaters out there, I mean, at this point, hopefully you guys are kind of out of the region, because being out in these waters with this potentially strong of winds could be very dangerous. It's definitely something to to look out for, which definitely could be really strong. So we do have potential of maybe 90 to 100 mile an hour winds or greater in some areas out there, just between kind of Bermuda and the U.S. East Coast. So there's Bermuda right here, and then here's the Carolina coast. You can see just east of the Carolina coast a little bit. That's where those winds really could pick up quite strong. Overall, so definitely quite windy. Definitely is quite a windy storm here. So let's hop over here. Actually, we're going to talk snow accumulations here. I do want to bring up our current snowfall projection, just to kind of show you all how much snow we could be dealing with here. And I do want to bring up, this is the Kashira ratio. So with that being said, so basically, from what we've seen, or what we're expecting here with this event. Now, this is the this is the American HRRR model. So this is a high resolution model. This is one particular take on the system. But, because of that drier air, you can see a lot of central North Carolina not really seeing as much snowfall. Seems like the western and eastern sides of North Carolina will be getting some of the most, in which, there's a pretty good shot that we could be maybe upwards of a foot or so for some of these areas along eastern North Carolina. A lot of the forecast or a lot of the warnings from the National Weather Service actually do have, some of those totals being up over a foot here. So, definitely is going to be pretty snowy on out there. So that is according to the HRRR model. Now, if we bring up like the main models, like the the GFS here, which we'll go ahead and pull up now. I mean, you can also see there's a bit of agreement here as well, as kind of what the HRRR was suggesting, that little bit of a dry slot in the middle of central North Carolina. Now, obviously, you guys are going to be getting a little bit of snow, but there is a little bit of dry air involved for a lot of the central side. Then, of course, we have coastal North Carolina here, which we could be seeing, potentially over a foot, like we mentioned, maybe 12 to 14 inches in some areas, about by like Jacksonville, North Carolina. Wilmington could see over a foot of snowfall, according to the the American GFS model. So definitely a pretty good amount, and it even shows like Myrtle Beach area, maybe even getting towards a foot out here in like northern South Carolina. Now, down towards like Hilton Head Island, southern side of South Carolina, maybe a couple of inches could be possible. I used to go there all the time for vacation. Really pretty place out there. So then we compare to Euro, the European model, which Euro is a little bit lighter on the snow totals, as you can see, not showing nearly as much snow for eastern North Carolina, but still, possibly a good, 6 to 10 inches or so. being a possibility in some of these regions here. But yeah, majority of models has it. Like the HRR we looked at, as well as the American GFS, does show, a good foot or so, worth of snowfall out there. But, of course, some heavier totals in the western sides here as well, out by like Charlotte, going down towards Columbia, could potentially see, a good maybe 4 to 8 inches or so. So definitely a pretty good amount. Still, it's not an absurd amount, but it's a good enough snowstorm. And obviously, you guys, any of you guys would be taking the snow, because I know a lot of y'all down here have been wanting snowfall, and it's not always the most common thing that you guys always see it down here, in this large of quantities. It's kind of a hard cutoff point towards the mid-Atlantic, where it's pretty rare for some of these areas to really get a good snow, just because it's been like so darn cold lately. We've been seeing a lot of cold air present in the country, and with the moisture coming through, it's allowing for a pretty decent snowstorm here to kick off. So anyway, so that is that. Let's pull up another thing here. Actually, we're going to bring up our winds. Or we did look at the wind gusts here a minute ago. Here, let's actually hop over here to our current temperatures. I do want to look at those. Which you can see, a lot of the Carolina coast here is pretty much below freezing, as you can see. Now, the banks, they're going to be seeing a bit of just normal rain. Because out here in the banks, it's actually a little bit warmer, as you can see. We're talking mid 30s to maybe lower 40s, in terms of temperatures out there, which is just going to be a little bit too warm. The mid and upper level atmosphere is below freezing, but the lower atmosphere is warmer because we're closer to the water, of course. And, we do have that, that water actually making the air temperature a little bit warmer there overall. But, for a lot of the mainland, eastern coast of North Carolina, it's well below freezing. As a matter of fact, it's actually really cold out here right now. Temperatures across North Carolina are in like the teens and the lower 20s right now for a lot of western and central eastern portions of the state. Down by Wilmington, it is freezing, but it's like in the lower 30s, maybe upper 20s going on currently. But it is going to be quite the cold night here for tonight. I tell you what. So Florida tonight is obviously under those freeze warnings, which, those go all the way down to the southern tip of Florida. Out there by like Homestead is about as far south as they go. So, we're talking some really, really cold stuff here for tonight. So definitely going to see some really cold temperatures out here. Anyways, here, y'all, give me 1 second. I'm going to hop y'all over here for a minute. I forgot to put a thing on my AC unit that makes it, redirect the air, so it's getting warm in here. So give me 1 second. Let me fix this real fast. Yeah, I just noticed it started getting warmer in here. And I'm like, maybe I should, because this room particularly gets, super hot for some reason. So, even in this cold weather, I need to have it a little bit cooler, and sometimes I have to keep it on because, this room for some reason just gets, super, super hot. Anyways, but we're back here. But yeah, like I was saying, though, we've got some really, really cold temperatures, freezing temps all the way down to the Everglades of Florida, basically, which is pretty crazy, out there by, Everglades City and whatnot. The warnings are just north, so we do have a little bit of that coastal areas keeping it a little bit warmer, slightly above freezing, but for inland, it's going to be freezing for everybody pretty much. Really, really crazy stuff. All right, so let's hop back over here. Here's current radar view up here in eastern North Carolina. Like I said, we have a lot of snow reports, a good 4 or 5 inches out by Newport, North Carolina as of right now. We're obviously getting some really heavy snow bands rolling through at the moment. And if we hop to the west, it looks like some areas out by, for example, Taylorsville, I've seen about at 5, maybe 6 or so inches. Huntersville, about 9.5 has been reported, which is pretty crazy. Let's see here. We also have, Bowling Rock, 5.5 inches being reported. We have 6 out there by Summerfield area. Let's see, Thomasville, about 6 inches has been reported so far. So, definitely a pretty, decent amount of snowfall so far. It's not over yet, but definitely wanted to mention that. All right, let's hop over here back to, we'll actually pull back up our current radar in view so you guys can just kind of see everything. But at this point in time, That low is definitely getting pretty strong. So earlier this morning, whenever we were doing a bit of coverage here, we saw that the low was, I think it was like 1,010 millibars. So, since last night that we've been covering this, the pressure's dropped about 10 millibars, which that's definitely quite a drop, Definitely has dropped quite a bit. Now, the low right now is just off the coast of, North and South Carolina here. And, it's definitely getting pretty strong. And, that's why we're getting a lot of, heavy snow, that's really kicking up across eastern North Carolina here. It's right on top of that low, which, we're really starting to kind of pull everything together up there. Now, when it comes to the snowfall out here, I mean, you can see areas like Florida, maybe a little bit of snow showers east of Tallahassee, possibly, according to radar here. But, a lot of eastern Georgia seeing a bit of snow out by like Statesboro. Maybe even Atlanta could have some showers going on right now. Athens, Augusta seeing some snow. Then here into central South Carolina, you can see Columbia is getting a bit. Greenwood area, Greenville, Rock Hill, Sumter, Florence, Bennettsville, Camden. A little bit of the coastal areas doesn't appear to really be seeing much. Maybe a little bit of rain right now, but that's gonna be different here in a little bit. It actually looks like some of those might be transitioning into snow now out there by the coastal areas. So, that's that. But you can still see that very obvious little dry air slot that we have over here, for central North Carolina. Like it looks like out right now out by Wilmington, it might be calming down a little bit. Raleigh, it doesn't look like you guys are really getting anything right now. It looks like y'all are kind of in that, that little dry slot here. But that won't last too long, because the models, they definitely do have the system picking up here a little bit, down in time. All right, so let's bring up our. Oops, I think I pulled up ice instead. Let's pull up the snow. All right, we'll do the precipitation type reflectivity here. We'll pull up our HRRR, the HER model. So this is the 19 Zulu. So this is a brand new run that we basically have here. It's actually still rendering here for the most part. But, I mean, you can see how, we do have that little bit of a dry slot. But like I said, it's not going to last very long because eventually it's all just going to kind of close in here. Because we're getting that low really picking up some strength, and it's going to really draw in some more moisture and stuff. But, it's going to continue to be some real heavy snow, across, a lot of the eastern areas here. So definitely got to look out for that. Now, for the banks here, eventually they will get cold enough, towards the end of the system. So they might get a little bit of snowfall, but, by then everything will start to kind of pull away from the Carolinas here. But, I mean, definitely is... Definitely, it's going to be pretty heavy at times. Probably some pretty big fat flakes too. Over here in eastern North Carolina. I wonder if I have any cameras I can pull up here for you guys. Let's see if we can't maybe pull up a camera too. I think North Carolina might have had some good camera views. Here, let's see. We'll see if we do. Let me see. I don't know, actually. I just realized, oh, shoot, North Carolina is actually under a state of emergency from the snowfall. I just realized that. Here, maybe we'll try Virginia. Let me bring up current radar again real quickly. Let's see where some of the heavy snow is. So it looks like it's starting to snow out by Virginia Beach, actually. Let's see. Let me pull up Virginia webcams here. We might have some good ones for y'all. Here, let's bring these over here. And we'll see if we can't pull up maybe a couple cameras down by Virginia Beach area. Here, we'll try near the beach here. Don't really see anything. Yeah, these cameras are pretty low quality, honestly. A lot of them are outdated. Here, let's try one a little further west. Let's go up at Chesapeake. Should have a camera here we can look at. There's so many cameras. Oh, there we go. Yeah, there we go. So that's out there by Chesapeake, Virginia. Looks like we're starting to get a little bit of snowfall. You can kind of see they look to be pretty big flakes too, actually. They do seem to be kind of fat flakes. Here, we'll bring back up our radar for a moment. Oops. What did I do with it? Oh, there it is. Right there. Perfect. All right. So yeah, that was out by Chesapeake, which is right here. Seems like it gets a little heavy out by like Emporia, maybe. Here, let's see if we can't pull up a camera out there by Emporia. If I can even find where the webcam is. So yeah, Emporia seems to be coming down pretty good. So there's Franklin. I don't know. Oh, here you go. Here's Emporia. We do have a camera right here. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh yeah, can confirm it's definitely coming down pretty. Look how big those flakes are. Goodness, yeah, it looks like we're already starting to get a little bit of accumulation out there. That's Southeast Virginia, out in Emporia. So it's right in here is where that camera is, and definitely is kicking up quite a bit. I'm gonna check on Florida. I don't know if Florida's getting any snow because the radar does show maybe some snow showers east of Tallahassee, out by like Live Oak, Madison, Perry area. Here, let me pull this up real quick. Let's see what we got. So we can look on I-10. So there's Tallahassee. Wait, did I say Madison area? Let me check on that again. Yeah, it looks like out by Madison, Live Oak, we have maybe a little bit of snow going on out there. Okay, so let's hop over to maybe this camera here. So this is in Florida. Looks very overcast, although I don't really see any snow. It looks pretty windy too. Yeah, let's move maybe a little closer to Live Oak here. It is hard to tell. It really is. Like it's there's no obvious snow going on here. Here, let me hop back. Yeah, it looks like some of the heaviest is actually out by like Live Oak area. If there's anybody in the chat, they can probably confirm this if there's anybody here. But I doubt anybody in the chat right now is from these areas. So let me try this one. Yeah, it looks pretty broken clouds there. I don't think we're gonna be seeing snow on that cam. Oh, you know what? There you go. You guys see it? If you look closely, I saw a few flurries. Yeah, look at the darker contrast over here. You see them? There you go. Yeah, so Florida's getting snow right now. Goodness. So that's up in the up there in the Panhandle. That's like I said, right there by Live Oak. Between Live Oak and Madison is where that is at. So yeah, we're definitely getting it pretty good. Then hopping back to Southeast Virginia here, out by Chesapeake. Oh, wow, those are some big flakes. Like stuff like that will accumulate very quickly. You know, getting those really, really big old flakes out there. Here, let's hop back up north. Really wish we had some live cams up in eastern North Carolina. At least we got Virginia Beach. We got a lot of cameras out there. Oh, wait. I think that one camera that we just looked at was out by Emporia. Yeah, we were looking at Chesapeake, then we went further west because I think, yeah, Emporia has heavier snowfall, which radar's shown like 29 to 30 something dBz, which is pretty high end reflectivity out there. I'll tell you what, though, some areas up in North Carolina have like upper 30s, maybe lower 40 dBz points. Like Jacksonville, North Carolina seems to be having some really, really heavy snowfall going on out here. And I'm sure the winds are really picking up at this point in time here. I'll even overlay those winds here. Let's do wind speed. I think there's barbs. Yeah, we have barbs here. So let's we'll make these white so we can see them a little bit better on the map. Maybe I'll increase the barb size too. There you go. Yeah, so the winds are definitely picking up quite a bit out there. Looks like we have a good 25, 30 knot wind barbs here going over across the region. Maybe I'll even add the wind gusts here. We'll do surface wind gusts, and we'll make those. We'll put a point here. So the numbers you guys are getting ready to see, these are going to be those wind gusts here. What color should we make those? We'll do white as well, but I'll do like a black background. There we go. There we go. Yeah, really seeing it quite a bit. You know what? I might even add. We'll go back to our wind speed here, and then I'll actually add a color table to it. There you go. Yeah, now you can really see those strong winds. Yeah, especially out there by the core. You know, you can see on the left side of the storm, it looks like the winds are pretty darn strong. Like 40, maybe 50-mile-an-hour winds out there. Pretty crazy. Out by Florida, they're starting to really pick up out here. I can confirm. Wow, as of right now, my weather station shows 18.6 mile per hour wind gusts has been reported here. Let's actually bring this up real fast. I do have my weather station. Yep, 18.6 mile an hour winds have been reported. Yeah, look at the graph here. Station was offline for a little bit of time before the storm. Our temperature is dropping here. Right now it is, let's see, dew point 36. Temperature 51 degrees. Pressure 1,013 millibars. Apparently we got a trace of precipitation a little bit ago. Yeah, but we had nearly a rounding up to a 19 mile an hour wind gust. Definitely got a little bit windy out there, but it's only going to be going up from here on out. I think, yeah, starting at 3, which is past 3 now, is when the winds were really supposed to pick up. What's up, Storms and Sausage? I love your name, by the way. Saying, quite happy to be in New Mexico where it's sunny and 60 degrees Fahrenheit. I hear you. Yeah, you're not going to be getting any of this. You're a little far away from all this. But hope you're doing good, my friend. It's good to see you. Yeah, I mean, you guys over here, the winds seem to be fairly light, too, for the most part. Doesn't look like y'all are getting much of anything crazy going on out here. Yeah, it's really the east that's getting it pretty good. Mostly the Carolinas. You know, I think North Carolina is like going to be the heaviest impacted out here, especially eastern North Carolina. And then we have like southeastern Virginia, which we have definitely some heavy impacts going on out there. You know, some pretty good gusts and all. But yeah, for eastern North Carolina, I mean, you can see it's definitely coming down pretty good. Here, let me actually hide the we'll hide the winds and stuff now. At least the wind gusts. There we go. That's better. It's a lot less laggy too. You know, the more stuff that you add, the more laggy it gets. But yeah, I mean, looking at the here, let's see. Go ahead and lock that so I can draw on my screen again. You can see we do have a really good amount of snow coming down for the eastern side of North Carolina. It's all east of Raleigh, though. Raleigh has a little bit of dry air. Let's see here. Storm says, we are starting to get into the pattern where the jet stream sits overhead and we're getting sustained winds of 70 miles an hour. Is that at surface or is that like upper levels? I was going to say, that's pretty crazy. Here, we'll even pull up the current jet stream. See kind of where everything's at right now. Let's just remove everything. We'll pull up the HRRR. We'll do that. We'll see where the jet stream is lodged. We'll do 500 millibars, which is about 20-something thousand feet roughly. Whoops. Keep drawing when I don't want to. There we go. Yeah, you can see that jet stream is kind of going over you out there. Right now, the jet stream is really heavy over me in Florida. You know, I'm actually here in Central Florida, so like the wind shear up there is ridiculous, and it's going to get even stronger. It looks like by later this evening, we're going to have like some really strong upper level winds there. But you know, there's that low for you. This thing is really going to be cranking. You know, like I said, the system is just pulling in a lot of moisture right now, and from that subtropical jet stream that's going over the south, towards the Gulf and going over Florida at the moment. And, the cooler air, obviously, that's been existent in the country has been kind of brought further down because of this low kind of sucking everything downwards. So, Storm says, so up at the VLA site, it's 7,000 feet where we see surface winds of 70 miles an hour. Wow. That's pretty crazy, but yeah, no, it'll do it up that high. I mean, given those upper elevations, like for example, I'll just grab one of these high elevation points and we'll grab a sounding. And, the surface is obviously a lot higher, up on the sounding. You can see how there's a big gap right here. That's taking the elevation in concern. But yeah, the winds could definitely be really strong out there. Absolutely. It's definitely bombing out. Oh, yeah. It sure is. Thing is, it's a cranking, that's for sure. Here, let's maybe pull up our lower level jet stream. I do want to see maybe our 850 millibar jet. See where that stands here. So this is a little closer to the surface. Yeah, definitely pretty crazy. I mean, it's really just kind of getting a good grasp, firmly grasping the those all that moisture and stuff. Here, we'll pull up our surface winds again. We'll do 10-meter wind speed. We'll do barbs. Actually, we'll do fill and barbs here. So this is about 6 foot winds here. So current time is 3 o'clock. So yeah, it looks like the winds will be kind of at the peak over by Florida sometime later this evening, within the next couple of hours. But yeah, I mean, we definitely could be picking up some pretty decent wind gusts out here. Yeah, especially where out in the coastal areas where it's flat, But yeah, then you got the coastal Carolinas, coastal North Carolina is going to be getting some really heavy stuff. I mean, look at that. Yeah, that's that's tropical storm force winds here. That's sustained too. These barbs, like a good 45, 50 knot wind barbs. All throughout some of the eastern banks of North Carolina. Which, I mean, yeah, that's going to cause some coastal problems too. Maybe some swelling in some areas and stuff like that. Rip currents going to be a bit of a concern here. And then, like I said, that's just sustained winds. That's constant flow. And of course, we have our maximum wind gusts here, which we could be dealing with some even higher wind speeds. Yeah, so those numbers you see, those are the wind gusts. So I mean, yeah, just off the coast here. I mean, could be seeing some really strong wind gusts here. Look at this. That is wild. Yeah, I tell you what, some of the models, especially Euro, really wants that southeastern quadrant of that low. So the central low is right here. It really wants that southeastern quadrant to be 100 plus miles an hour. Thankfully, this will be all well off the coast, though. It's not going to be anywhere in the land. But, like I mentioned, this is why it's important for the boaters out there to, go seek, basically just go, park your boat because you don't want to be out in this, or at least be out of the way. Which, I mean, this is going to be pretty windy and pretty wavy for a lot of people out there. The Northern Caribbean, you can see, I mean, these winds are going to be pretty heavy. I mean, we're going to be gusting a good 40 to 60 out there in the Northern Caribbean, which that'll certainly bring some rough waves out there for sure. Up by Massachusetts, yeah, they're going to be getting a little bit of strong winds too. Their winds aren't going to really happen until the morning of Sunday, though. As that system lodges further northeast, then they'll be getting a little bit more of those winds. Nantucket could be seeing a good 40, maybe 50 mile per hour winds. Here, we'll bring up the 18 Zulu, which is the long run. Which, yeah, you can see those winds really picking up according to HRRR out there by Nantucket. The coastal areas could be seeing a good 60 mile an hour winds there. Also for our folks up in Nova Scotia too. I mean, we're going to be getting some strong winds out here. I mean, even interior could see like good 50 mile an hour winds out there. Which, a lot of the northern sides, like of Nova Scotia, could be getting some of that water kind of getting pushed inland, which could certainly bring in maybe a little bit of coastal swelling. Because the orientation here, we have all these winds that's just kind of pushing against the coast here. That's one thing you got to look out with the winds here, is just making sure that or just watching the direction, along with the speed. Like, even in like the Cape Cod, eastern Massachusetts area, we could see some of those winds kind of tunneling into the bay here. So, I mean, there certainly could be a little bit of coastal swelling, and maybe even like northern Nantucket too, with some of these winds. I mean, like I said, we're gusting about 60 or so it's pretty heavy. Long Island could have a little bit of swelling potentially. So gotta look out for that. Here, let's bring back up our. Let's see, what are we gonna look at now? So we pulled up everything. We pulled up the winds. We'll actually pull up now the precipitation type, so to kind of show you all what everything's gonna look like in the future. And all the snow should be out of the U.S. pretty much by later this evening, or sorry, later tomorrow morning, later Sunday morning. So, like I said, I'm planning on doing some coverage tonight too. Like, we'll hop on late and I'll film, stream some of the end of the event, for the U.S. anyways. But like I said, where we stand at right now, it's kind of right in here. Like I said, we have a little bit more drier air. I wonder if I can pull that up. Let's see, precip. Maybe upper air. I'll just grab a sounding here, actually. Let's just grab a sounding in that little dry slot there. I wonder if this will let me, it won't let me draw on the sounding. Dang it. But, so yeah, basically you can see, I mean, the further that dew point is from your temperature, the green line being your dew point, the red your temperature, the lower the humidity. The closer they are together, the higher the humidity. You can also see on this bar here. But, I mean, it seems like there's a little bit more drier air you can see at the lower levels. Just a little bit, which is kind of preventing it from actually, like, snowing. But, like I said, eventually it's just all going to turn into one mass as the low gets stronger. And then this is showing that midnight here tonight. Still North and South Carolina getting a bit of snow. Virginia Beach, too. Like I said, this is mostly going to be dodging the Northeast for the most part. Then we approach 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. You can see that most of it's starting to kind of work its way out. But we still have like some of coastal North and South Carolina getting some snowfall here, too. At this particular point. And then by basically, this is for 12 p.m., so the afternoon of Sunday, everything's out of the U.S. Maybe there could be some snow up by like eastern Massachusetts. I mean, that's really the only areas, in the Northeast that could see some snow. As a matter of fact, the Weather Service actually put out a couple of winter weather advisories here. They didn't even include Nantucket, but we do have some winter weather advisories for the eastern side of Massachusetts, including like Plymouth, Provincetown, Orleans, Falmouth, some of those areas out there, which they have totals of 1 to 3 inches here. So just a little bit of snow. And, we could see some gusts as high as 45 miles per hour on that system. So, yeah, eastern Massachusetts definitely going to get a pretty good amount of snowfall there. Strong winds. Not much snowfall, but then, of course, we got some of the southern, south-central side of Virginia also in some of these winter weather advisories, like Richmond, for an example. Richmond's going to be getting a good inch or so of snowfall. Lynchburg. Let's see. Accumulation's up to 1 inch or so. What's up, Captain Kurt? Good to see you. Saying snow in Florida? Yeah, it's actually currently snowing in Florida right now, believe it or not. So if we were to bring up our current radar, we hop over to the Panhandle. We actually do have a little bit of snow ongoing out there by some of the areas east of Tallahassee, kind of by like Perry. Some showers up by Madison Live Oak. We were actually just looking at the cameras here not too long ago, which I still have them up actually. And we'll see if we can't see a little bit of snow out there. So yeah, this is out by. So this is Lake City area. Let me try. So there's Tallahassee. This is east of Tallahassee, up by Madison. Seems like where we have some of the snow. Let's try like Lee. Oh, there you go. Yep. So that's up in the Panhandle. You can see a bit of snow falling. It's fairly light, but it's not anything crazy. Just a little bit of flurries here and there. But yeah, it's already snowing. But yeah, later tonight, there's been talks about maybe some Gulf effect snow, which I'm sure you probably have heard about. Which it's going to be possible. Here, this is the HRRR model for later on. You can see that there could be some little snow showers for like some of the west central sides of Florida. It's certainly possible. It wouldn't be anything much, and I don't think there'd be any accumulation either with it. Simply the fact because the ground is too warm. It wouldn't cause any big problems. It'd be more of like if it did happen, it'd be or if it did happen, it'd be more like oh look, there's some snow type of thing, and then it would be gone. But yeah, it wouldn't really be doing anything super crazy out there. But it's possible. It is possible. But like I said, by midnight tonight, this is where the HRRR has the storm projected. So I mean, you can still see at this point in time, a bit of snow obviously falling for portions of, like South Carolina, portions of North Carolina, maybe even like Virginia Beach. Maybe even a little bit of like southern Maryland, maybe getting into some of that snow. But then, of course, as we approach, 4 a.m. here, you can see it's still snowing for some of the Carolinas. It should be out of the Carolinas basically by maybe 8 to 10 a.m. Tomorrow morning. Which by then it'll be mostly out. But, it could start snowing up in the Northeast out there. But like Massachusetts, I mean, they could start getting some snow as early as like 4 to 6. I mean, it looks like some showers are possible a little bit earlier. Like some snow showers. But yeah, I mean, the full effect takes place a little bit later on here. I'm actually curious to see how much snow the HRRR shows here. Let's pull up our precipitation. We'll do the Kashira ratio. Because I feel like that would be a little bit more than, a little bit more than that. Yeah, Nantucket's in like a foot, which that's from the HRRR. A lot of the mainstream models don't really support that. Like, for an example, the American GFS shows like not even an inch. Boston, maybe a trace to an inch. Then you got the European ECMWF here, showing pretty similar amounts, maybe upwards of an inch or so. You got the GDPS model. This one's Canadian, showing kind of the same thing. So I think it's just HRRR being HRRR. Just kind of that model is kind of against all the other ones. Let's see here. What a wild storm it is. It's a pretty strong one, that's for sure. I'll even pull up the pressure here to show you just the intensity of this thing. I mean, it's pretty strong. Here, let me maybe edit this, make it white, and we'll increase the width here as well. Looks like a snow hurricane. Yeah, it kind of does, in the future models there. But yeah, I mean, look at this thing. We get a really strong low developing there. I mean, you can see just how tightly woven these isobars are. So an isobar, like I mentioned, is a line that equals the same pressure no matter where the line is. So for example, this is a 1,004 millibar line, and this will always be 1,004 as long as you're following this line. But you can see how the pressure really drops off. I mean, look at the pressure. I mean, it's going down like really fast. The closer we get towards the center of this low. It's kind of an elongated low, with some vortices in it. But yeah, you can see how compressed these isobars are, these lines here. So that's telling us that pressure's dropping off over a short distance, meaning that it's going to likely be very windy because there's a lot of, airflow. The air is flowing from the higher pressure to the west to the lower pressure to the east. Indirectly, it's not directly parallel, or it's not a straight line to it. It's more of like at an angle, because it rotates counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere, anyways. See, what's crazy is the Gulf is causing snow and fuels are hurricanes. Well, it's not nearly as hot right now, but yeah, the Gulf can fuel hurricanes, but it's nowhere near that right now. The Gulf has cooled down a lot. Has cooled down a heck of a lot. I think sea surface temperatures out there are like 23, 24 Celsius, I think. I could probably pull it up for you. Let's do that, actually. I'll do Western Atlantic. Yeah, so about 23. Gets a little bit warmer down by the Caribbean, where we're about 27 Celsius, which is pretty darn cold. Theoretically still warm enough for hurricane development, but here's the thing. The winter months increase wind shear, making it almost impossible for a hurricane to find a window to actually happen. They theoretically can happen in some crazy scenarios. It's possible. I've seen tropical systems happen anytime or any month of the year. But, when everything heats up, the waters heat up more, and, the wind shear weakens a bit, which allows for more storms and, more likelihoods of those hurricanes and stuff. But yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it's definitely quite a storm here, I tell you. Here, let's bring up our temperature line here. I do want to look at that. Let's do. I'm gonna load up my own color map. I have my neon one. I like this one right here. Really highlights the colors more. It keeps the blues in very dark, or the blues are like teens, and then you have the reds. It's like 80s. The yellows kind of like 50, 60. Love this color table I made. So this is actually the RTMA analysis here, which so this is current temperature, basically what's going on right now. And what you can see, a lot of North Carolina is well below freezing. We're talking like teens and lower 20s for most of the state here. Some of the upper elevations, some of the peaks are going to be even colder, of course. You can see some of these are even like single digits. Up where it's higher, the air's thinner and stuff. Let's see. Look at the green pockets in the Pacific. What with the? What's this? Oh, down here. Out there by the equator. 10 degrees north latitude. Yeah, we do got some little pockets here. The Eastern Pacific's still a little warm though. But give it a little bit of time. Once we start pulling out of winter time, we start going towards spring. The waters will slowly start heating up, and then we hit summer, and then they really heat up quite a bit. And then that's when the fun old hurricane season begins, which it's going to be interesting this year, I think. Last year's hurricane season was so mild. Other than Melissa, that hurricane that hit Jamaica head on, like the one that went like this, that one we covered was crazy. Crazy. Melissa was a unit of a storm. That's the one that went like I think it had like 185 sustained winds at one point. Like that storm was pretty bad. Melissa was bad, but we didn't even have a single hurricane impact the United States last year. We had some tropical storms make landfall, but we haven't had a single hurricane hit the U.S. There was one storm that kind of rolled up the east coast of not Africa, east coast of Florida. Well, how am I saying Africa? I'm thinking of like storms going off the west coast of Africa, but yeah, going off. It just went off the east coast of Florida, and it was actually aimed right towards the Carolinas. I remember it turned last minute. The models were having all the guidance going in towards like South Carolina, and then it's like eventually, the models just took a sharp right turn and pulled it away from the U.S. So we were supposed to have a hurricane make landfall, from the models and such, but it never happened. It never happened, thankfully, which is definitely good. All right, we'll bring up the current radar again, y'all. So here's what the radar looks like right now. Let me hide the pressure here. I'm going to get rid of the pressure altogether, just so you guys can see just a clean radar sweep here of kind of what everything looks like at the moment. So, yeah, eastern North Carolina at this point is seeing some really heavy snow. This is where a lot of the main accumulation really begins out here. It's been going on for a little bit. We already do have reports out by Greenville. It only looks like we have about an inch reported out here. You can see a little 1-inch report coming through on Greenville. Then we got southern, kind of east. This is east central coast of North Carolina, out by Morehead City. We have reports between 3 and 5 inches in that general area by Newport. So that's a pretty good amount, and obviously they still have a lot more to go here. So I mean, yeah, definitely a pretty good little storm for you guys. And then out west, I mean, it really varies. I'm noticing. I'm noticing like anywhere from 5 to like 9 inches. Actually, there's a 10-inch report over here by Lexington, North Carolina here. But yeah, I mean, it looks like the totals have been kind of going up a little bit out here. But anyways. But yeah, guys, I think I'm probably going to roll off here for now. Like I said, I just wanted to hop on here for a little bit. I was going to do just a little bit of an update live stream just to show you guys where everything's at, what everything's doing right now. The main coverage is going to be later tonight. Like I said, I think I'm going to go live probably sometime, maybe around 11 p.m., maybe 12, maybe right around midnight or so. I'll go live for you guys again. Just so I can kind of cover the ending part, because I mean everybody and their mother right now is streaming, so there's a lot of other people who's out there who's getting the word out. But for now, I'm just gonna go get some stuff done around here. Then I'll be back on later on tonight, so I can do some night coverage, because a lot of people like to stream during the day right now during the main stuff, but still we're gonna need some coverage tonight, in which I'll be here for you guys to do some night coverage. But if you guys are new here, consider leaving a like, maybe hitting that subscribe button. It'll be much appreciated. But all right, everybody. Well, I think I'm going to roll off for now. Thank you all so much for watching. Really, really appreciate y'all. And all right, everybody. We'll see y'all in the next one. Peace out, my friends. See ya later on tonight.